Colter here with your horoscope report from the Evolutionary Astrology perspective about the Leo new moon that happens in just a couple days here on August 8th. But really this energy, this archetypal field as I'm about to describe it, is activated throughout the entirety of this Leo season, and this really includes the next lunation event, the Aquarian full moon. So Leo is clearly in the limelight. And of all the signs, Leo is the one that likes to be in the limelight the most. You know, it's the archetype of the clown, of the performer, of the child. It's a very joyous, innocent, charismatic sign, potentially. It can also be somewhat of an egotistical, attention-seeking, arrogant, or even narcissistic sign in some cases. And the negative side of Leo is pretty rare. Actually, I'd say it's the psychopathology or the extreme shadow side of Leo, even though the pop astrology of the world really likes to emphasize the shadow side of signs. Much more commonly, we see not the most evolved expression of Leo, which we'll get to, but shades of gray in between. And Leo people, whether they have their sun in Leo or moon in Leo or a dominant Leo signature in their birth charts, they do have this impressive quality about them. Leo the lion, the king of the beasts, or the queen of the beasts, just to keep it PC here, you know, lioness energy. And the cat family and little lions, we call cats, are impressive. There is this quality of I am the king, you know. So Leo people are very impressive, and they shine brightly into the world. The planet that rules Leo is the sun, so they have this solar quality about them. Therefore, part of their evolutionary medicine is to express themselves. It's the sign of self-expression. And practicing vulnerability through self-expression, really that's the key takeaway there, is learning to be vulnerable. And this really helps Leo folks because when they pour that energy out from their heart, it is the sign of the heart. And this month is very much about becoming heart-centered, as we'll explore here. But they pour that energy out from their heart to an audience, you know, even if it's only an audience of one and it's their mom or best friend, which is a pretty safe audience, but that's still an audience, and they receive applause, you know, or whistles, a standing ovation, you know, Leo. And if they receive the standing ovation, that feeling that they have within of acceptance as they're embraced again by the human family, that joy that they feel as the energy they're putting out is reciprocated back in this positive feedback loop through the act of creativity and developing the courage to be vulnerable to other people. Okay, this is where Leos thrive, because when they're feeling that joy, that's a very high consciousness emotion. It calibrates at about 540 or 560 on the scale of consciousness from 1 to 1,000. So it's a very high, elevated state, and it is the zone of power or the sweet spot for Leo. And the more Leo 9 people out there can achieve that level of joy, the quicker they evolve as people. So as we're all dancing through this field of Leo energy, and this will affect some more than others, it depends on your own chart, you want to ask yourself the evolutionary question: where in my life can I practice vulnerability through self-expression? And by understanding your birth chart can be very helpful here, because you can recognize, okay, where's this new moon in Leo actually occurring in your chart? It's happening at 16 degrees of Leo. So you find 16 degrees of Leo in your chart, you find that specific house, see if it's next to any planets in your chart, and that will show you the area of your life that's really wanting to roar like a lion, to put it out there. And creativity is super emphasized now, okay? Because Sun and Moon are in Leo, because Mercury is in Leo. Mercury tends to want to put a more mercurial spin on this creativity. More mercurial forms of creativity would be talking, you know, speaking, would be writing, language stuff, also media. You know, that includes social media, that includes photography, cinematography. You know, it's the archetype of the teacher, basically, the information disseminator and the storyteller. Okay, and there's more than one way to tell a story. And of course, creativity across the board is really healthy now. But if you have an interest in more mercurial forms, you're really in a thriving place right now. And also, we have Uranus in what's called a square aspect to the new moon. Uranus itself is in the sign of Taurus, which also has a strong creative vector to it. One of the archetypes associated with Taurus is the musician, so music is really lit up right now as well. Now, Uranus square the South Node is asking us, yes, vulnerability through self-expression. Uranus, the wild card in astrology, represents individuality, represents uniqueness, okay? So we add that word authentic into the mix. Yes, we can express ourselves, but it's time to do it authentically. You know, a loose metaphor would be, you know, let's say we're talking about music, somebody creating music. Well, the difference between a cover band, you know, creating somebody else's art, or, you know, I mean, active performance is an act of creativity, certainly, but they're not expressing their own, you know, brainchild, their own music. Or we compare that to the person who is a songwriter or wrote a song with somebody else and is performing. Those are two different levels of creative expression. Both are valid. But what's emphasized here with Uranus is authenticity, which is, it's the archetype linked to Aquarius too, because it rules Aquarius, the genius archetype, trying to tap into our inner genius and have enough courage to express that through vulnerability to feel that level of acceptance with other people. And of course, even if you're the most likable person on the planet, you know, and even if you create the most beautiful art capable, there's still going to be a small percentage of the human population that hates your guts. You know, it's just, I mean, there's a variety of reasons for that. Some people are just miserable because they're really in a place of pain and suffering and they're spreading that negativity outwardly. Or, you know, there's just people that are energetically compatible with each other as well. So if you express yourself through vulnerability and authenticity and people don't clap their hands, a good strategy with Leo is to just try to find the right audience so that you can have that positive feedback loop to help open the heart, not only in yourself, but through the connection of other people. Their hearts open as well, and there's that connection, there's that joy. But it's not easy to be authentic now, you know, and that's an indication of what I said, Uranus square the new moon. Squares are hard, you know, they're not bad, they're just hard. And we can actually grow the most through the squares. It's a friction-based sign. So how hard is it to be authentic? Well, it's very hard in general. I would say especially now. And this is where we can tie in another major feature in the sky right now, where Mars is in Virgo in a very tight square to the nodes of the moon. Okay. Now, the nodes of the moon I've talked about many times. Okay. So Mars, I see it as a very triggering planet. Whenever it hits any sensitive point, it triggers that archetypal field. Here it is triggering the nodes of the moon through aggressive martial war god energy, Mars the war god, triggering it, triggering the south node, which is currently in Sagittarius. And again, I've talked about this before, but humanity in general, okay, is suffering from Sagittariosis, you know, the dark side of Sag, which is the world is drunk on religion, fixed set of ideologies, fanatical belief systems bordering on cultish behavior, you know. We're seeing that in a lot of different places about a lot of different subjects, okay? And humanity is trying to grow beyond that, accompanied with growing pains, of course, especially now as it's triggered by Mars, the war god, as we achieve the evolutionary intention, which is to embrace the North Node in Gemini, which is trying to see reality more clearly. And a lot of people are waking up right now, actually, amidst the fixed set of ideologies and belief systems. It's getting to crazy town levels. And it's getting more and more aggressive, especially with Mars squaring them, the war god, in the sign of Virgo, the sign of the perfectionist, the comparison with the actual and the ideal. Here is what is, but here is what should be, coming through the filter of Sagittariosis, saying, I'm certain what should be, you know, and therefore Mars tends to be more aggressive, okay, combative, the planet of conflict, coming through the Virgoan energy of that perfectionist, which is projecting that outwardly into the external environment and being too hard on other people. The sign of judgment, the sign of being a nitpicker based on the religion that they've chose to hang their hat on. And amidst that chaos, it's very hard to be authentic. It's very hard to be vulnerable right now. Hence the squares. And we're trying to stay at that 540 level consciousness of joy. Meanwhile, we're being assaulted by some of the darker sides of the Sagittarius, Mars, Virgoan influences. Okay? The emotions associated with Virgo are worry, concern, which of course are connected to fear. There's a lot of fear on the planet right now. Okay? Even Mars is connected to fear too, by the way. Fear calibrates at 100. So much fear on the planet, lowering the average consciousness level of the planet. And rightfully so. There's a lot to be afraid about. Okay? But fear is a suffering response. It's a stress response. It's unhealthy for everybody who's feeling it and everybody that is around you in your environment. You're affecting them too when you're feeling fear. Now, the extreme negative of Virgo is actually guilt and shame. Here is what is, here is what should be. Here is what I am, here's what I should be. Oh no, I should be better, I should, or you should. It's the Virgo, the shadow side of Virgo is the shouldinator, And Virgo is a beautiful sign. I have a moon in Virgo. There's a high end too, but I'm kind of focusing on the negative here because of the Mars, the square, the nodes, etc. So people violently, and I don't mean physically, although it could include that in some rare cases, but violently projecting outwardly shame and guilt towards other people. You should do this. You should do that. How dare you? How dare you? And the motivation behind that thought, coupled with the emotion, is to basically humiliate the person and lower their consciousness, even though that's not really the thought process behind the person. They're coming from a place of pride and anger and belief system, which calibrates at 150 to 175. But here what they're actually doing is they're trying to lower the person's consciousness to very low, like 20 or 30, trying to get them to do what their belief system, what they think is right based on their belief system. So trying to lower somebody's consciousness to manipulate them into doing something is, I wouldn't want that karma. It's violent with thoughts and with actions and with emotions. So how do you deal with that? Well, we try to stay at that very high level of consciousness so that the other low consciousness thoughts, feelings, and emotions and actions out there don't cause us to dip below. Right? For example, let's say there's a saint out there in the world. There's many of them. And they're calibrating at 600 or 700 level consciousness. And they have this very saintly, translucent personality where their soul's life light is shining brightly into the world and having a positive effect on everybody. Their life light is not obscured by negative thoughts and emotions of the egoic human personality, but rather the part of themselves that's been evolving over lifetimes. Their divinity within is able to shine through, unobstructed. Well, if that person were to visit a place in the United States, for example, to a location where there was this horrific battle in the Civil War or something like that, and people talk about all the time when they visit there, it feels eerie because they can feel the energetic pain, grief, and suffering of that location because of all that pain that's there. And there's probably some ghosts there too, souls that are still stuck in the fourth dimension. And it's palpable. You can feel it. The energetic residue or pain and suffering residue is at that location. Well, if this saint were to walk through that location, the sea of pain would part around them, almost like Moses in the Red Sea sort of imagery here. And as he'd continue to walk, and his auric field was continuing to move forward, the sea of pain would come back together. darkness cannot withstand the light. Okay, they cannot operate within the same space because they're at two completely different levels of frequency. So if somebody's attacking you with barbs of fear, barbs of guilt, of shame, of anger, of pride, of dogma, you just maintain that joy level of consciousness, and what happens? Ping, 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 ping. It's impregnable defense, as Mike Tyson once said, invincible. Nothing can get in there. No darkness can withstand the light. Ping, 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 ping. You now have a joy shield. Now the question is, how do you maintain this high level of consciousness of joy? And that's a very deep question that you could talk about for hours and hours and hours. It's a multifaceted diamond. And it really connects to the idea that we need to have all the areas of our life healthy. That includes physical health, exercise, diet, which is not my area of expertise, but there's a zillion people that know how to do that well. Psychological health, emotional health, spiritual health, social health. The more these are all healthy, the more your consciousness can raise and you can stay at this very elevated state. I tend to focus on astrology, obviously, these archetypal ideas. Really, archetypes exist in the fifth dimension, and they're to be worked with through higher dimensions of reality. And then I also focus on the spiritual, which is also connected to higher dimensions of reality. And at the end of this video, I'm going to do a meditation that's focused on that frequency of joy to increase that within us. So if you have an interest in meditation, I invite you to join in. And in terms of meditation, what's going to be your greatest ally is the law of repetition. If you do meditations, whatever the meditation is, either once, twice a day is even better. Through the law of repetition, you're increasing that frequency. So the joy meditation is you dissolve into that oceanic space inside of yourself, and you cultivate that inner joy. You're raising your consciousness to 540. And then, of course, you leave the meditative state and then it slowly sinks back down. It's hard to stay there. But the more you do the meditation, the more you raise that frequency, the longer you'll stay there and the slower you'll fall. Okay, so it's very important to do that, among other things. Physical health is just as important. For example, I remember I was beginning to study with this guy from Rishikesh, yoga guy, a guru or whatever you want to call him. And here I was thinking he's going to teach me all these exotic yoga poses where I, balance on my big toe or something like that. I'm being silly here, obviously. And teach me some esoteric sacred science about all the chakras. And my first conversation with him, he says, I want you to walk 5 miles a day. And once you can do that consistently, call me again. And I just, I had to laugh because I had these expectations and I really loved where he was coming from. If you can't get that right, don't work on the exotic stuff. You got to get the physical health in order first, And it's also helping the person exercise discipline, because to become a spiritual warrior takes a lot of discipline and focus. So working on all those things, okay? And then, of course, through astrology, okay, the archetypal field that's activated now, of course, is the Leo one, practicing authentic, vulnerable self-expression, opening one's heart, okay, allowing other people to know what's going on with your inner weather report. They, in turn, open their heart, and there's that heart-centered connection. And through that unity consciousness, we can find forgiveness, regardless of what the belief systems are. And then we can tap into that Leo energy, which is unadulterated, pure, childlike, spontaneous, innocent self-expression, the heartbeat of Leo. And within that is pure joy. And that's the core evolutionary intentions, with the goal being to expand our consciousness. Well, that was the astrology piece. As usual, we're going to transition into the meditation. I use binaural beats, so I recommend using headphones for the best results. Enjoy. Sit or lay down in a nice, comfortable position. Make sure you have a straight spine. And begin by focusing on your breath. Feel the inhale come in through the nose and fill up the belly and lungs as your tissues expand. And exhale through the nose. Tap into the energy of your body, the precious gift from the divine, the vehicle for our soul. Take a moment of gratitude for this co-creative process with the divine. Now we're going to be focusing on various areas of the body and allow that focus to lead us into a deep meditative state. It's important, if you can, not to move. And if you feel an itch somewhere on your body, just focus all your concentration on that itch and allow that itch to be an entry point into the meditative state. Concentration is key, and no physical movement. So begin by focusing on all of the toes of your feet. And feel like you're in your toes. And try to feel the toenails of all 10 of your toes. And now shift your attention into the entirety of your foot, both feet. Now into both ankles. Both calves. Focus on the knee area. And now focus on both of the kneecaps. And slowly move your attention up into your thighs now. Feel that you're in your thighs. And now focus on your lungs. This returns your attention to your breath. And you want your breath to be deep, rhythmic, comfortable. A nice, steady inhale as you feel your belly and lungs expand. And immediately exhale, no pause. A comfortable, steady exhale as you feel the air go out of your belly and lungs. Steady rhythms create peace and harmony. Now return your attention to your leg area, and now we'll move it up to both of the hips. Feel that you're in your hips and pelvic floor. And now expand your attention into both of your legs at the same time, the entirety of your legs. focus on your butt. And the tailbone. And follow that energy up the spine, and now you're feeling your entire lower back. And as you focus on your lower back, you're sending energy there to soften all the tension in your lower back. And move your attention up to the middle back now. And moving further up to the spine, and now focus on the upper back and the scapula. And now up to the back of the shoulders. And keep that steady, rhythmic breathing. And now roll over to the front of the shoulders. Now into the chest. And lungs. And again, tap into the feeling of the breath. And feel the front of your chest push against the fabric of your clothes as you inhale. And now move towards the belly and abdomen area. And focus directly behind your belly button, a couple inches behind your belly button. And just keep your attention point there. Now move back up to both of the shoulders. And now into the upper arms. Into both elbows. Forearms. Wrists. And hands. Now into your fingertips. See if you can feel all of your fingernails of both hands. Focus on your fingernails. Now move back up to the front of the throat. Try not to swallow. You may feel that impulse. And now the back of the neck. Both ears. The back of the head. Now up to the very top of the head, the crown chakra. And now the front of the forehead. Your eyebrows. eyelashes, eyelids, and eyes. And follow the bundle of nerves that go into the center of your brain from your eyes. And now to the tip of the nose, upper lip, cheeks, chin, lips, and tongue. Now return your attention to the chest area. And focus not on the physical heart, but on the spiritual heart, which is directly in the center of your chest and a couple centimeters to the right. And from the spiritual heart, visualize a beautiful pink color begin to radiate from the center of your chest. And see that color grow brighter and expand into a beautiful pink sun. This pink color is in and around your entire chest. On your next inhale, see that sun glow as brightly as you can make it glow in your mind. And as you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. And hold this visualization. Now remember sometime in your life, doesn't matter what age, where you can remember feeling the greatest joy. And remember that experience with as much clarity and crisp visualization as you can. And relive this event in your mind. Try to remember what was going on around you, what people said, what you thought. Invoke the five senses. What were you seeing, tasting, touching, smelling, hearing? And as you relive this experience, cultivate that inner joy and bring it into the pink sun. Feel it in your chest. You're reconnecting with this experience and with the emotion associated with it. Now change the visualization and start to visualize yourself with someone or some people who you really love and they love you. Your closest relationships. You enjoy each other's company so much, and you can feel this love for them radiating out from you as a pink color and reciprocated from them as a pink color. coming from each of your chest centers, your spiritual hearts. And visualize that something happens, whatever it is, you say something or whatever, and you both start laughing hysterically. And the giggles are infectious, and you both lose yourself in the moment of joy and connection through uncontrollable laughter. And you're rolling on the floor laughing, literally. And the sides of your gut are hurting, and you are crying tears of joy profusely. What a moment. Feel that joyous experience. And breathe it into your chest. We are mining joy with the superpower of your vivid visualization. And folding that into our consciousness. Now spread your awareness throughout your entire body. Feel that joy and celebration of life spread through your body and suffuse with every cell. And now see your body scintillating in a bright, vibrant white color. Shining brightly as a star. You are a star being.